Good morning, I'm Leslie Stewart and you're watching TERRA at Home, and today we decided to go along with staying indoors, kind of cozy theme since it is mid-January. So we are here at Goemans, the Stony Creek location, and I'm here with Brett Wagner, and we're going to talk about making hot coffee drinks at home. A lot of people love being able to have that, and accessibility to that is sometimes cost you about $4 or $5 each time you have one. So having one at home, especially if you're home for a snow day, could be a little bit kind of a nice, easy way of doing it.
Absolutely.
So there's a lot of different brands out there. There are a lot of ones from very low price points to the extreme, and we're going to show the best of the best of the best to the highest end, built right into your kitchen.
Correct. And that would be this one here, the Miele. Now the Miele, if you don't mind, Leslie, I'll take you through the inside of it.
I think so. It should be interesting to see this inside.
Okay. Now this one here, this particular unit here, you have a couple of canisters here. This would be your water containing unit.
Okay.
So basically what you would do is you'd fill this up to the top, and it's self-containing. It just stays inside the actual unit itself. It's a whole bean unit, which means all your beans, you just take your beans, you drop them into the top up here, and then it actually grinds all your beans contained inside the unit.
Which is great.
And disposes
no mess,
of them.
and you don't have to worry about doing it in advance either. So.
Exactly. The nice thing, it actually disposes of everything for you, so you can continually use it over and over again.
Okay.
And it actually drops off onto the side there. And the other nice unit is it has one of the largest drip trays.
Whoa, okay.
In the industry.
You'd think you're actually almost in a restaurant by looking at the size of this.
Absolutely.
But again, everything's back in the wall, so really the front of it's so flush with your kitchen.
Exactly, so you get this nice clean look right on the front of it, right here on the front. The other nice thing about Miele, what they do with this particular unit, is they actually have all the pre-programming done inside of it for you.
That helps too.
Where you can move from an espresso to a coffee, to a cappuccino, into a latte macchiato. This particular unit contains your milk unit right here on the side. Okay. Refillable, very easy to use.
So no hand steaming. You're not holding the steamer. You're not trying to create that itself. It does it.
It's all done for you. Let me let me show you.
Okay.
This particular unit here is the Miele warming drawer. It's a convection.
I want a warming drawer in my kitchen.
It's a convection warming drawer, which means the entire coffee mug gets completely surrounded. It's a very quiet, whisper quiet unit.
Okay.
This is basically your espresso cup that you would have right here. Now, typically what happens at Christmas time, you have different types of cups. So you might have a Christmas cup that you might use, and then throughout the year you might have a different cup that you also might use. Come Easter, etc., you have different cups that you use. This unit here makes it very easy to program your particular cup. All you would do is basically hold it under here. You would hold down the unit. You'll hear it grinding the beans for you. Then at that point, it'll pressurize the beans and then fill up your cup. You're programming the amount, so each and every single cup size that you have now specific to you.
Wow, that is amazing. So, I mean, we're looking at the ease of this. I mean, really, this is just, you've got this tiny little cup, it's been warmed in there, so now you're getting closer and closer to having gone and purchased this at a store, but you can have 4 or 5 or 6 espresso shots in a row if you really want to.
Exactly.
I love it. I love it. Just like that. And again, what's great is if you are entertaining, having people over, you can just wrap these off one after another.
Absolutely.
From a latte to an espresso without really any big changes.
Exactly. The size of the units on the inside, that the amount of water it can hold, and the internal compartments of this, you can just do a unit after a coffee, a latte, an espresso, having it all pre-programmed inside.
And that's the thing, because those units are so big inside, you really you can store a lot of water and a lot of beans, so you're not changing that constantly.
Exactly.
Very cool. Okay, so with this being, of course, kind of the top of the top, you guys obviously carry here at Goemans many other varieties of machines, and you were mentioning that Miele now makes one that's a countertop.
Absolutely, they do. The CM5 series. It's a countertop unit, and as well, it does a lot of the same that this particular unit does, just miniaturized. Just like the other units that they use here at Goemans. So
perhaps a little bit more approachable for somebody in, on a bit of a tighter budget constraint.
Absolutely.
Right? But again, sometimes if you actually do the math on coffee makers and going out and purchasing your own coffee on a regular basis, especially an espresso-made coffee, it really does add up pretty quickly, so it kind of can be a very good investment to buy your own.
Absolutely. The cost savings on something like this, a bag of beans in a unit like this, would last much longer than going to out for coffee on a regular basis.
Sure. Okay,
Absolutely.
so obviously you can buy all the other units here, all the other different brands that are available here at Goemans. Now, of course, we're mentioning we're at the Stony Creek location. Now, we're in this massive showroom that, I mean, carries everything from the gamut. Now, you'll notice a little bit later on the show, we'll be with Alex in the fireplace area, which, of course, has everything from traditional fireplaces to the most modern of all. But, I mean, you guys carry a lot of other great items here for people, and particularly even in the melee line, right?
Absolutely.
So, from washers and dryers to...
Washer, dryers, we have steam ovens, we have speed ovens, they have the warming drawers, induction cooktops, they have the dishwashers as well. They've been in business for 80 years building it, operating dishwashers. Works extremely well.
Yeah.
If you don't mind, can I show you a latte?
Yeah,
over this
let's do a
here?
latte. Okay.
I'll show you the milk unit on this one here and how that one operates.
That way we can see the steaming milk.
Yes, absolutely. And again, too, that's how easy it is to do.
Well, that's what I was going to say. That's what's easy, because I find we have a countertop version, some Italian name of some other one. I'm not sure what it is, but anyway, it takes a little bit of learning.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's you're kind of playing around, and I've kind of messed up the steamer a few times because there's little attachments and things like that. Where this one you don't really have to think about.
After being a bartender for many years, to get the steam and the froth to work exactly right coming out of that unit, putting it on top and then adding your cinnamon, you'll notice with this unit here, it does everything for you.
Yes. Okay.
The espresso's being ground and pre-brewed and shot into the actual unit itself now. Each one of these amounts are fully programmable inside the unit. So if you're a particular person that likes more milk, or Aunt Liza's over and she wants a certain type of blend that she wants in hers, you can make it exactly how whichever company member.
So you can kind of just take the time and program it to the what you're used to doing. That's the thing, because people have very specific coffees that they drink, so you can program it to what you're used to doing on a regular basis. So you don't have to sit around and tweak it constantly.
Right.
So it added the milk first, and then it added the shots afterwards.
And then added the shot afterwards, absolutely.
Okay, so now what if I wanted to add chocolate to this at some point? Because I like mochas.
Absolutely.
When do you do that?
When do you do that?
At what stage do you add that?
You can, because it's got the milk inside of it, you can actually put the chocolate into the actual unit first, or you can just melt it as well.
I love it.
Yeah. It works fantastic.
And there you go. And there's
Just
the
like
coffee.
that.
So, and it's hot and it's good. And again, with the warming drawer, you have the nice warm cup. That's very professional.
So the coffee is not heating the cup. They hit each other and they're already at the same temperature.
Exactly.
Again, very important to coffee drinkers.
I love it. It's very good. All right, this is Brett Wagner. We're at Goemans. And again, we are going to be talking throughout the rest of the show about being in warm and cozy for the day. We're going to be speaking to Alex Reynolds coming up in just a little bit. We're going to be sitting by the fireplace and talking about some of the top family movies. So anything, I mean, right from the classics way back in the day to the current stuff. And also cooking some cozy meals. We're making a beef bourguignon a little bit later on with Chef Rachel. So again, it's Goemans.com. We're at the Stony Creek location. Come down, have yourself a coffee. We'll be back with more TERRA at Home right after this.
Come and explore the new TERRA, where color lives.
AM 900 CHML is giving you more news when you want it most. Non-stop news weekday mornings 5 till 9, weekday afternoons 3 to 6, with weather and traffic on the 9s. Hear about it first from AM 900 CHML, Hamilton's news talk leader.
Welcome back to TERRA at Home, and to go along with our kind of stay indoor, cozy winter theme, we're going to talk about movies today. I should tell you that we have this beautiful set provided by Goemans in Stony Creek, a great location for us to have a nice cozy fireplace. And our entertainment guru, Alex Reynolds, is with us here today to talk.
Nice and warm here.
It is, it's warm. We're going to
Lovely.
maybe kind of sweat a little bit during this segment, but we want to talk a little bit about some of the great family movies. Again, also movies that you can watch on your own, because that's one thing people can do. By yourself, with a partner, or with your family, and some good classics. You know, Alex, again, I do appreciate the fact that you appreciate classic movies, but also current movies. So right across the whole gamut, really.
And what's good about the technology for home viewing now, the big screens, the digital digital
Yes.
outfit, even the 3D effect. So now you've got a full effect there. And the movie houses themselves perhaps are suffering over that.
Does, absolutely.
However, but in the middle of winter, it's lovely. I'm thinking about Slumdog Millionaire. This film came out 3 or 4 years ago, zoomed from nowhere up to the very top as an independent film, which that doesn't usually happen.
Right.
About a young lad, he's an orphan living in the slums of Bombay, and somehow gets picked to appear on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, the Indian version. But he goes through he's very sharp and savvy and educated in his mind because he's got it all ready in there, the subject matter. But they refuse to believe that somebody from the slums could be that smart. Right. And so there's a certain amount of the police are on him, he gets arrested and that sort of thing.
A lot of adventures in this movie, and really kind of a good movie, you know, for the whole family, really, because you can learn a lot from this movie. And it also exposes North Americans to a world that we really aren't exposed to that often, to appreciate what the slums really mean and what they value there.
Those scenes in the shanty town, it's hard for us to imagine existing in something like that.
Yeah.
So it was an uplifting film all the way around. So I thought a film like that, with everybody gathered around watching, even though there are some depressing moments in it, but still, it's uplifting at the end. It's very optimistic.
And one you can watch many times over again. That's a sign of a good movie right there,
And good performances as well, because there was a good script there, too, all the way around.
Absolutely. All right, that's a good one. Next.
Marley and Me. Now, I bet you cried in this one. I know I had tears and whatnot. And
yeah, it's a good cry movie. Marley and Me. Oh, that's a good one.
The drawback to that film for me, I read the book and liked it very, very much, and it was about the world's worst dog, as they referred to it. Owen Wilson, to me, was the weak point in this whole film, but we're not here to criticize that sort of thing.
It's funny, I would have thought you'd say that, actually. I kind of agree with you on that.
Jennifer Aniston, I thought, did very well. She's criticized a lot for a lot of films, but I think she's quite a dandy little actress. Anyhow, it was the dog here that stole the whole show, and of course, all of our emotions and whatnot. Do you know they used 21 different dogs?
Now, I've heard that when you're using an animal in a movie, often because it's taking time to shoot the movie, but also just because they need them for different behaviors,
right? So
I love it.
And then they went from the little puppy aspect to when it's big, and then, of course, as you know, inevitably there is a death in the family, as it were, and that's where the lump in the throat comes from. But it was
but again, another good family movie.
Delightful film, very well, and the book was good as well. I would say read the book too.
Okay.
It's a very, very good one.
First, maybe. All right.
Let's go to a documentary from Disney, and this is they've just started doing this once again. The natural history series they did years ago, Disney did, but now they've started up again, and all in 3D and everything. The first of this was Earth, and it told the story of an elephant family, a whale family, and I'm trying to remember what else was in it.
I know, I'm trying to think too right now.
Oh, polar bear.
Polar bears, that's right.
And the problems they were having because of the crisis that we're experiencing environmentally with the climate change and whatnot. But the photography and the camera work.
Well, that's the thing. With movies like this, it's the cinematography behind it that is just
amazing,
beautiful, and it's hard to believe sometimes that this is real live nature
and not staged.
Right.
And can you imagine the patience of the crew and the camera people and the director, everybody waiting for that shot, and how much they shot and then put it all together. But this one is worth seeing for the whole family.
Yeah, definitely a family movie.
It's educational and it's emotional. Yeah. But
also kind of tunes us into what's going on in the world too.
And it's showing that I think the creatures, God's creatures, are respecting the environment more than we as humans are, the way things are going on.
Good point.
I go to another film I thought I'd pick up on that I like very, very much, a Canadian film that did not show very well. It did get a lot of positive buzz. New York Times raved about it. It was called 1 Week.
Oh, yes.
Joshua Jackson, he's an actor from Vancouver, and he's been on Canadian television series. And he learns that he has terminal cancer, and he's got very short time to live. He's on the verge of getting married, but he then gives up everything, gets on a motorcycle, and travels right across Canada in 1 week's time. hitting all of the high spots that we're familiar with in the tourist brochures,
well, that's
right?
the thing. It's almost like a movie for Tourism Canada.
That's right.
But
That's what
it doesn't create that feeling. It's not like that. It's just such a great approach to a movie, and because he's just a young guy, and it can happen to anyone, it really actually does stir the emotions. This one, that's for sure.
And in each spot that he stops, he gets into some sort of an adventure, and it enlightens him to come to grips with the problem that he's having to face this terminal problem. I thought it was a very fine film. I've watched it 2 or 3 times.
I have as well.
And I'm just sorry that it didn't get more attention. So that's what I'm saying, that we should enjoy that on a cold winter's night.
Yeah, that's a good one. All right, very good.
Now, let's go to something I think everybody enjoys, and that's an animated film. And I'm thinking the most recent one that caused a lot of attention was Up.
Yes.
About the old man, voiced by Ed Asner, and this chubby young kid who go on this wild adventure to South America. But what's amazing about this film, and I was choked up in it, in an animated film outside of Bambi, when you know what happened, you just don't get choked up. But in this one you do, because it's a love story of this old man who loses his wife, and he fulfills an adventure he had promised her on their wedding day, and that never did happen.
See, I
but he
haven't seen
takes the
this
young
one,
kid
so
with him, and they get into all these adventures to South America to see this major falls. And how they do that, he's a balloon salesman, and he ties all these balloons to his house, and the house floats across to South America.
Did you hear that just recently, Disney actually just sold that house? And an actual real family bought the house. And the house is super cool because it's multicolored and it's very neat inside. And so Disney actually sold the house to a regular family. So it, you know, that's again a great family movie, but adults, children alike can enjoy. So.
Oh yes, it's a whole cross section there. I like the premise of this whole thing very much.
Sure.
When I first was going to see that a house being carted along on balloons, no, but then it really works that way.
Okay, so let's maybe just mention the last few that you really liked.
Singing in the Rain. I had to bring that up. That's representative of all the MGM musicals. The highlight of that storied past in Hollywood history. With Gene Kelly and all of those people that were involved, Donald O'Connor and Debbie Reynolds and whatnot. Great
film. A good classic movie.
One scene where he's dancing in the rain with the umbrella.
How many times that's been used over and over and reenacted in many ways,
many,
right?
many times.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and another one is E.T. How could you not leave E.T. off the list?
Yes.
You know,
E.T.'s a great movie. I loved that as a kid, and I would watch it again
and
tonight.
That one was emotional. Ice Age, that was a lot of fun, especially with Scrat, that funny little with the acorn and whatnot.
Very good. Well, Alex, thank you so much for coming on the show. We
Great
really
to be
appreciate
here.
it.
I appreciate it.
Again, a really great list of all the movies you can watch again by yourself if you want to, because that's a good thing about being at home. It doesn't matter. You can be by yourself watching these movies or with an entire family.
Enjoy.
And coming up after this break, we're going to talk about a cozy meal that you can have, that you can maybe sit around the couch with a big bowl and a crusty piece of bread and watch some of these movies that Alex suggested. We'll be right back with more TERRA at Home. Thanks, Alex.
Thank you.
That's good.
Come and explore the new TERRA, where color lives.
AM 900 CHML is giving you more news when you want it most. Non-stop news weekday mornings 5 till 9, weekday afternoons 3 to 6, with weather and traffic on the 9s. Hear about it first from AM 900 CHML, Hamilton's news talk leader.
Welcome back to TERRA at Home. We are on location here mid-January. We're at Stir Kitchen Store on Brant Street in Burlington. They're letting us use their lovely kitchen, and we're back with Chef Rachel. We're going along with the comfy, cozy, staying indoors theme today on the show. It's the time of year everybody kind of just stays indoors and likes to cook a real comforting meal. We do a lot of that this time of year, right? Yeah. It helps us fatten us up a little bit. But we're cooking a real good classic dish today. Tell us about it.
Okay, today we're doing a Beef Bourguignon. So it's a classical French stew. Really good. We've started cooking already, just because it's a long process to make a good stew.
So we have cooked bacon, which we did first.
We started with that. A little bit of oil and butter in your pan. and just cook the bacon. Now these are called bacon lardons.
Okay.
Okay, so they're just strips of bacon basically.
Okay.
So yeah, you get the whole strip and then you want to cut it down vertically to make batons. Or,
Okay, sure.
Right? So that's all ready. In the same pan, so transfer that to a plate. In the same pan with the same fat, we want to cook our meat. Okay,
That
so
gives
this
it
is
some nice flavor too, right?
Right. All that fat in there. So this is a sirloin roast, and basically I just cubed it up. You want to trim it if there's a lot of fat, trim the fat off. You can leave a bit because that obviously gives flavor, but you don't want it too fatty. And you also want to get rid of the silver skin as well. So that's kind of the
that membrane almost, right, that's in there.
Right, yeah, and it actually looks silver, so you'll know what it is. You want to take that off because that won't break down when you're cooking. Okay, so it'll stay tough and you don't want that.
Okay.
So you want to get as much of that off as you can. So we basically just want to brown this on all sides. These cubes, they don't need to be cooked all the way through because it's going to simmer in the oven for a long time.
Right.
Yeah, so we just want to make sure this is all brown, so maybe another 30 seconds to a minute.
Okay.
And then we'll transfer that over to the big plate there.
On that plate.
And then we have a lot of other ingredients here that we're going to add. We have some carrots and onions. That'll build a lot of flavor as well. So we're going to add that into the pan with some garlic, and we've got some red wine and stock that's going to be the base of the sauce. So it takes a little bit of time to prepare, but well worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then again, this is one of those, I think sometimes people fear beef bourguignon. They're afraid that it's something so intricate and big. Sure, it takes some time, but it's really just basic ingredients, right?
Right.
And once you make it, it's actually pretty straightforward. Okay, so we're going to get that all onto there.
Right.
And so then you're going to, at this point, are you going to use this pan again?
Yes.
Okay, with all this flavoring in there.
Right, we are going to get rid of some of this because there is a lot of fat in there now and juice.
Sure.
So we do want to get rid of most of it, but we can leave a touch in there.
Okay. And I think a good thing too about this meat is a lot of times if you go to your butcher or local store, meat department, you can actually buy the meat already chunked up for you, so it saves another step as well, which is kind of nice.
Of course. So then cooking time will depend on the kind of meat that you get. If you get a little bit of a more tender cut, it won't take quite as long. But this dish is anywhere from probably 2 to 3 hours to cook, depending on the meat that you have.
But it's, if it's cold and wintry outside and snowy, you just stay inside and you cook all afternoon. And
yeah, exactly.
It's kind of fun, right?
Exactly.
People come home to the great aromas of this, so that's kind of nice.
Okay,
all right,
so like I said, we're going to pour most of this out. I'll just pour it into this little dish here, and we can get rid of it. There's nothing that we can really do with this at the moment, or we can add it back into our sauce after.
Sure.
But we'll leave a touch for the veggies.
With that.
Just some liquid for the vegetables. Okay, so back onto high. And then this is just 1 carrot that I've sliced up. So we'll add that in.
So notice you slice them pretty thinly. So sometimes I notice, in stews, they're big chunks.
Yeah.
But this will help probably cook at a better pace.
Right. Now this is like, it's not, you don't want it too thin, but you don't want it also too chunky either, because we're actually going to keep the carrots and the onions in the dish.
Okay.
In this case, sometimes you do take them out, and in that instance, you can make them big chunks and they don't have to be uniform, right? But in this case, we are going to eat them, so not too thin, but not too thick either.
Okay.
And 1 whole onion sliced up.
Right.
So this doesn't take long to cook. These, we just want to get a little browned and softened up a bit. But to this, we will add in, what are we going to add into here? A little bit of salt and pepper.
Okay.
And some garlic that I have chopped up.
Okay. Garlic.
Okay, so break up all the onions there. Just thinly sliced.
Now with the stock that you're going to add at some point, what kind of stock are you using? Beef stock?
Beef stock.
Okay.
Yep.
So I guess you could get away with using a vegetable stock if you wanted to, or a chicken stock, but the beef is what's really going to intensify the flavors of beef.
Exactly.
Since that's what it is, right?
Exactly. Yeah, if you don't have beef stock on hand and you want to use a different kind, for sure.
It's okay,
But yeah, the beef stock will definitely give it a little bit more flavor. Okay, so we'll move that to the side and we'll add in the garlic at this time. And then, so once these vegetables are nicely browned and slightly softened, we can add our other ingredients back in.
Okay.
So we'll do that now. We'll add in
that.
Yep.
So magic of television, we'll just keep this moving along.
Yep. So the beef and its juices, that's fine there. So we'll put that back in.
You're going to add the bacon back in at this point as well?
Of course, yeah.
Okay. There we go.
Perfect. Okay.
Okay,
Great.
this is coming together.
Oh, sorry. So mix this all together, and then at this point, I like to add a little bit of flour.
Okay.
So about 2 tablespoons of flour. We'll just sprinkle it over the beef. It'll give the beef a nice little coating, and it will also help with the thickening of the sauce once it goes in the oven. So
you don't need to make that paste ahead of time and add it. You can just sprinkle it, and it's
yeah,
okay.
I just sprinkle it right on.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Great.
Getting there.
Yeah. So this is looking good. The beef's nice and browned. Everything's mixing together well. Now at this point, we'll add in our liquid.
Okay.
So about 2 to 3 cups of stock.
Because you can kind of get a feel for the amount of meat that you've added and the vegetables, just sort of what you need, right? And again, you can always thicken it up more in the end, right?
Right, yep. You can adjust the consistency at the end.
Okay.
A full bottle of wine.
Full bottle of wine, folks.
Full bottle of red wine.
Now, again, when it comes to the wine, are you kind of picky-choosy what you're picking in terms of flavors?
Yeah, you want something full-bodied.
Okay.
For this to give it a lot of flavor.
I think I knew there was a full bottle of wine in Beef Bourguignon, but that's what gives it that real rich, like...
Oh, yeah. It's a great sauce. Yeah,
All right.
so I'm using a Bordeaux.
Okay.
And that is a French wine, but if you you could also use a Chianti, which is an Italian wine, but that's a nice one as well.
Okay. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back, and we're going to finish this up and give you a better idea of how this all comes together. Full bottle. Be right back.
Come and explore the new TERRA, where color lives.
Welcome back to TERRA at Home. We're back with Chef Rachel, and we're talking about comfort foods, particularly beef bourguignon.
Yes.
And we're going to just let you take it here because there are a lot of steps to this.
Right. So when we left off, we added the stock and the wine to the pan. You want to start to bring that up to a boil. We also put in some rosemary sprigs and about a tablespoon of tomato paste.
Right.
So that was it. Bring it up to a boil. Put it in the oven. 325 degrees for about 2 to 3 hours. Keep your eye on it. Check it after 2 hours. Once the meat's nice and tender, it's ready. Okay. Comes out of the oven, you want to strain it. So over a pot, strain the meat into a into a strainer or a colander. The meat and vegetables, and then you have just your liquid in the pot. You can pick out the stems of your herbs. Okay, so we have the meat. We've put it into a clean new pot.
So basically, you're left with this after you strain.
Right.
Okay.
Just the meat and vegetables.
Okay.
And then we had the sauce. We've done this already. We had the sauce in the pot. There'll be a layer of fat on the top, so you want to skim that off, either with a ladle, or I find that a paper towel works really good.
Oh yeah, I've heard of doing that.
So just some paper towel on top, you can see the fat coming right off. So you want to get rid of as much of the fat as you can. Okay, now bring that to a boil and let it kind of simmer until it reduces. So we're left with a sauce. You could see, I'll use a spatula. It kind of coats the spatula, so it's nice and thick. Okay.
That's the magic of all of this.
In the meantime, we sauteed in butter some pearl onions and mushrooms. Okay. So just until they're browned. Okay, so we're going to add these on top of the meat and then put the sauce on top of that, and we're ready to serve.
And that's it. Okay, good. So of course we've done a condensed version of this, so you can go on to terragreenhouses.com to get all of Chef Rachel's recipes, including this one. And again, this will carry you right through the winter, so it works out perfectly. And again, we want to thank Stir Kitchens here in Burlington for letting us use their kitchen today, and enjoy and cozy and comfy. We're good to go. That's it. Beautiful. That's it for TERRA at Home for today.
Come and explore the new TERRA, where color lives.